We are just back. We are just back from Miami TCG. We titled this a rapid reaction because this is the rapidest of reactions you can have. I think we landed like what, a couple hours ago?
Yeah, about 2 hours ago.
About 2 hours ago.
So,
And
thanks
yeah,
everybody for joining us because we were late to promoting the stream.
yeah, and this was me working on the stream and trying to get it live on the way back from the airport. In the back of the car next to our little one. So she's just as tired as we are. And so if we are going and coming and popping out, then that's what's going on. But super, super excited to chat about this weekend. We have some guests we're going to have on who are at the convention and have some fun, things to talk about. And we're going to bring you a ton of pictures and to talk about some behind the scenes stuff that maybe you may have missed if you didn't know what was going on, like some of the artists visiting a children's hospital. Which is just a heartwarming story. So to start, let's welcome the guests that we have so far coming in, and we'll have people coming in throughout the show. But first, it's Cameron from Illuminators of the Magic Kingdom, one of our favorite like Twitter feeds. I know you've done some YouTube. He's a great member of the Discord. And for those who don't know, Cameron lives near the Magic Kingdom, as his name would suggest, and tries to blend, the kingdom's magic with Lorcana, doing pack openings in the park, and kind of blending those two worlds. So we love what you do, Cameron, and thanks for being here.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it. Glad to be here.
And then another awesome member of the Lorcana community from the Lorcana Discord, Twitter, it's Adara. She does a ton of behind the scenes work. Well, hey, how's it going?
Hey guys, I think I finally stabilized the internet connection.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, okay.
Hey, if you come and go, it's totally fine. It's live. No, so for those who don't know, Adara is a fantastic member of the Lorcana community, goes to all the big Lorcana events, and is constantly working behind the scenes to build community, connect people on the Discord server, on Lorcana, and everything. So just fantastic. And
thanks for joining us.
Yeah, seriously, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for asking.
Especially after such a long and tiring weekend. Thanks. First, shout out to Craig Dunstan for joining us, and Man, who is also at the convention. We're going to welcome in one more guest to round out our quad here, just jumping on. Also, just back from the convention, Franz from Traverse Tavern. Hey, thanks. Hey, and Emma is there too. And
yes, we are trying to figure out a way to get Emma into the stream, but mute her mic on that. Sorry, mute her like camera on that end, but keep her mic so she can talk, but not come through my mic. We're trying to figure out because we don't have a good speaker set up here, and we just finished eating after getting back. After
you did too. I literally just finished Chinese food not 5 minutes ago.
We got some Thai.
Very
this
nice.
This is a casual, it's casual family chat. We love it so much. So both Emma and Franz of Traverse Tavern were at the convention this weekend. Emma, I see you in the green room. Once I see your camera come up and everything, or you give me the thumbs up from across the room, we'll pull you in as well. But hey, let's start out. We have a ton of pictures to go through, a ton of things to talk about. I have a ton of areas to go, but I want to start just by saying, just going around and asking each one of you, what you thought of the convention, and maybe if you have a favorite memory or experience or something that you want to share. I guess I'll open it up, and if nobody wants to jump in, we'll just go around the horn.
Anyone? Adara, you go first.
Sounds good. Wow. So convention was very much not exactly what I expected, but in a really good way. Like, I had so much fun up at the tournament when that was going on, but also just down on the floor. I love how we just got to hang out in there for pretty much all of Sunday. I think my favorite memory was I was waiting in line for one of the artists, and I was watching somebody else like get signatures and talking to Matthew Robert Davies. And after they were done, he came up to me. He's like, "Hey, you aren't Adara by any chance, are you?" And so it was just so much fun getting a chance to meet additional people from the Discord and being recognized by people that I was like, as soon as they say their screen name, I'm like, oh yeah, like I definitely see you around a lot. So that was just so much fun getting to meet new faces there.
Can you hear them? That is so much fun. That's one of the best part of these conventions is, there is kind of a tight knit community, and there's all these connections we've made through this game, and getting to run into people just virtually in real life at some of these Lorcana events is just Fantastic.
Yeah, it was my first experience with that because I didn't get to go to Gen Con. So that was so much fun. Like Liam, all of you guys told me how amazing that experience was at Gen Con and getting to experience that for the first time. I think too, on a smaller scale, like getting to be in Miami at a smaller convention, it was great because I felt like every single time, I went up to our room, like Adara, you were sitting, everybody was sitting in the hotel bar just hanging out. So it was really great that we were all in the same hotel, like in the convention center all the time and just getting to see each other, at breakfast, at dinner, throughout the day. It was just a really cool experience.
I agree. Cameron, how about you?
I loved it. Had a great time. I would say my favorite experience was the kickoff party. Ted's Burgers. Ooh, very highly rated and rightfully so.
Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah, it was great. There was a kickoff party with a lot of like the Lorcana artists, personalities, and other people from the con. It was pretty cool, fantastic. Yeah, threw a good party.
Yeah.
And Ted's Burgers. If you're in Miami, look up Ted's Burgers, and when you go, tell Ted that you're a Lorcana fan. And if he's not doing anything, he'll challenge you to a game because he's one of the biggest Lorcana fans in Miami. He will throw down for sure and talk a lot of smack doing so. Hey, Franz, Emma, I mean, you may have to pass the headsets or whatever, but we want to hear from both of you.
She's actually wearing earphones behind her hair and she can hear.
Very
technology.
Nice. Yay.
Well, hopefully you guys can hear her without too much overlap between our mics. And we want to try that.
All right. Quick. Well, who wants to go first?
Okay, I'll go first. Yeah, so one of my favorite experiences was just getting to know the artists because I'm an artist. So I was able to get to meet the brains behind the art that we've been looking at for so long. And just getting to, sorry, there's like a lag for me. So it's a little disorienting. But getting to know the personalities behind the art and the fact that like, you think of them as these amazing artists that like must be totally unattainable and you can't relate to them because they've done such amazing art, but they're like, oh gosh, I'm not used to being the one signing things. They're just people and they're really supportive of other artists and interested in the game. A lot of them were learning to play the game. And that was really fun too, because I'm also a beginner. So yeah, it was just great getting to relate to them.
I have to, before Franz goes, I have to say, we have pictures of like 5 or 6 of the things you all talked about that we're going to look at in a little bit. So I'm super excited for that. Even his teaser. Franz, how about you?
Yeah, I guess I'll be the competitive player here, and I will talk about how it's my niche. The event that was run on Saturday was extremely smooth. Everything was perfect, all the way from the judges to the TOs to even everyone playing. There was not one moment where I felt even like uncomfortable winning or losing with or without my opponents. Throughout the entire event, I was able to get up and talk to a few of my previous opponents, and they were just great talking to. So the people that were actually playing, I know that a lot of there have been a lot of comments made about like competitive versus casuals, like maybe crashing heads a little bit, but I do think that the competitive crowd that was at this event was extremely nice, extremely great. I saw no controversy, I saw no animosity between anyone, and the competition was absolutely fantastic. There were a few. I think Eliza got a few videos that we all saw. I think she captured my favorite play of the day. And that was so awesome. Playing Ruby Amethyst all day was definitely fatiguing, and it cost me in the bubble round on the last round to potentially give me a chance into top 16. But even so, even in losing, I just had a fantastic time. Props to PPG, props to everyone who attended. I just want to note this event was a large scale event in my terms of a TCG event, and this is by far, outside of Pokemon only, the most children and females together that I've seen in one of these tournaments. And I thought that was really cool. And I saw a great mix of everyone in the top tables, like X1, X2, X being the amount of wins you have, and 2 being the amount of losses you have. But everyone was doing fantastic. So that was so cool. And I'll be a little bit selfish. I think my favorite memory overall was the dinner date that Emma and I went to Sunday night at Zuka in Miami. Oh my God, it was fantastic. I haven't eaten that much in one sitting in a while, but I would gladly do it every single day if it was from Zuka. That place was fantastic.
It was like a very dress up place. We don't normally go to those.
Well, you're on vacation. You should treat yourself. So Erin had to step out because Elena is still recovering from the trip.
Also, Elena was
thank you.
Yes.
I wish I had a
Aw.
picture of her to share with everyone, but she was all Disney-fied. And yeah, thank you for that. Adara, I do actually, Cameron, I have a story I want to ask you, but since we're on the tournament, real quick, Adara, I know you played, and this is probably your like first big competitive event. Yeah, how was it?
Yeah, man. I mean, besides the starter deck challenge at Gen Con, like this is the very first time I've ever done a competitive TCG event at all. I think it was really interesting to dip my feet into the water with wasn't it like 215 person event?
It was 215 at round
Yeah.
1. Yeah.
So I had so much fun. I lost all 3 of my first rounds, which immediately knocked me out from the top 32. But I had gone into it saying my goal was I wanted to get at least 1 round win to redeem myself from not getting one in Gen Con. And so I came back for round 4 and was able to sneak out a win there. But all of the opponents I played, I'll echo what Franz said, was like they were all super nice. I got to play a woman against my 3rd round. And so that was just amazing to get a chance to play another female in the game and just share our love over Lorcana, and to see her running her deck so well was just absolutely amazing.
That's so cool, and congrats on like dipping your toe in the competitive waters and having a good time. Gosh,
Sorry.
She's so
Damn.
cute. Don't be sorry.
I know it's a family show. It's a family show. And yeah, and she's supposed to. I again do want to get her story from Cameron, but first, since we're talking about the tournament, I will throw up the final bracket for those who are interested. This was the top 16, and we're not going to talk too much about like the meta and the deck techs and everything. We'll touch on it, but there's going to be other venues for that, and I think we'll introduce one at the end of this show because we really want to talk about some of the stories and the artists and some of the behind the scenes stuff. But this is what it looked like. I think I was surprised at the number of Amber Steel in the top 16. We see Ruby Amethyst represented there as well, and then smattering of other decks. Franz, were you surprised at Ruby or Amber Steel's representation in the top here?
So if I had just looked at the top 16 without any context of being in the event, I would have said probably I would have expected more Ruby Amethyst or closer to even. But being in on the bubble round and being in those like I think it was about 10 to 15 tables that all had a win and in situation. Most of those were either Amber Steel mirrors or Ruby Amethyst and Amber Steel games, and that matchup against players of equal or very slightly above or different quality to each other, very die roll dependent. Amber Steel going first against Ruby Amethyst is very different than going second into Ruby Amethyst. Specifically, Rafiki and the Rapunzel interactions there change so drastically when you're going first or going second. So I think potentially, I think a lot of the Ruby Amethyst players may have just lost die roll. That's not taking away from the Amber Steel players at all. They all played it very well. But I think I think it was like 9-4, correct, in top 16.
I think so. Yeah.
I think that shows to me that I think that these are the two clear top decks, and the interplay between those two is close enough that some RNG factors like die roll is going to affect the amount of players in that top slot. I would have been surprised at the sheer number of Amber Steel, but I did see a lot of Ruby Amethyst and Steel Amber games in those bubble round tables. especially because I think they were very close to the same representation in the actual event. So I think it was close. I think this is a very good snapshot of what the meta is right now, especially because I just didn't see any Emerald Amber, yeah, in the event, which is probably a Ruby Amethyst's worst matchup. Ooh. Can you hear them? Liam, I do not think I can hear you right now.
Yeah, the perils of a live show.
There we go.
Yeah, no, that'll appreciate the thoughts and interesting. We'll move away from the tournament now because I have a lot more to talk about. But congrats to Jose Feliciano for the win and to PPG Games for running a fantastic event. I went up there a few times and as I said, it looked like it was running super smoothly the whole time.
Fantastic. Zero repairs, zero like I don't think I saw any really many judge issues. And even with the time rules in Lorcana and the amount of draws and ties that are possible, I think every round did go to that overtime rules, but nothing felt like it was dragging too much. Everyone was really snappy. The judges were really snappy about getting those results in. I think there was even an instance in either last round or before last round where there is a top table. I think it was like an X1 table. Someone who had only lost one game versus someone who only lost one game. They didn't report, and the judges came out and they said, "You guys have 10 seconds from now to give me your results, or it's a double loss." And he counted down from 10. No one answered, and they just double lost and moved to the next round. I think a lot of TOs, especially in that situation, would really try to drag that out and try to get that in. But hey, get your results in.
Hey, it's a good note. Anyway, super cool. I really want to talk more with you about this, Franz. We'll have to do it offline. And I know you're probably going to cover the tournament on your channel, correct?
Yeah. So on Thursday, I believe Cabled, Sneaky, and I will be going over the tournament experience. Cabled and I, because we played essentially the same deck. I think we were minus like 4 or 5 cards, and Sneaky because he was one of the judges. So I think we're going to have a pretty in-depth conversation about everything
Fantastic.
that went down.
All right. So go to Traverse Tavern this Thursday if you're looking for some in-depth coverage of the tournament. I do want to welcome one more person in before we move on and talk about the artist. I would like to welcome Eric, aka Iceman from the Discord server.
Hey!
How's it going, guys?
Hey, great. How are you? Tired?
I am extremely tired.
Well, that's all right. I saw you running all over the place. So Eric is a huge collector, signature collector, comic book collector, etc. So he's the perfect person to bring in as we start talking about the artists and that experience, because it was really, for me, it was the biggest thing that makes this convention possibly a once in a lifetime thing. I don't know. So before we do that, the convention for some of us actually started a couple days early. Cameron, do you mind? I know you had an experience that we talked about in the parks a few days before things got started. Do you mind sharing, with everyone what you were up to?
Yeah. So Eric, the guy in charge of the convention, Mr. Miami TCG Con himself, took Matthew Robert Davies. I learned. I kept pronouncing it Davies, but apparently they don't do Davies in where he's from. So it's Davis, interestingly, which I did not originally know. But we all went to Disney World, Magic Kingdom with Walt Disney World News tonight. And we just had an absolute blast there.
That's fantastic. What was it like seeing, Matthew, an artist who brought a lot of these characters like into Lorcana, around the characters, like the original or the real characters, the actual characters?
Yeah, the actual character.
The actual characters.
Actually,
Sure.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It was great. Again, we had a blast just roaming all over the parks. He talked a bit about what his inspirations were, what some of the things he tried to look at to kind of like avoid getting it similar to that. Not a lot of people are aware, but my channel and theme is Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom, which is an old in-park card game that nobody ever really cared about, but it was super, super cool. One of my favorite things there. All right, fair enough. Anyways, yeah, so he talked a bit about that, how he had looked through some of the sorcerer's cards to make sure that he wasn't doing anything like really similar to that. And I actually got a video. I happen to have a pack of the cards, and I got a video of him opening a pack. So that'll be somewhere eventually if I ever post it.
Well, make sure to tag us when you do, because we want to share that.
Sure.
I also heard that he was giving away some signed cards and trying to like connect with fans.
So Walt Disney World News today, they had the brilliant idea of having him leave like a scavenger hunt, and they were posting it on their Instagram live all day of where the cards were going to be, where he.
That was so cool.
And I was trying to post it in the Discord as well as we went, just pictures as we went along. I knew probably nobody was there at the time, but I was trying to get us there.
You never know.
Most of them were found pretty quickly by kids that were just like, "What's going on over there?" And so, yeah, a lot of them were found pretty quickly, but seeing the kids find those and the joy on their face and how excited they were, it's just so much fun. I loved it.
That's so cool. That's so cool. I wonder if I hope that like some of those kids who found those cards, who were just like, that looks like an exciting thing happening. Maybe they're new Lorcana players now, got their first card.
Hopefully, yeah. We tried to explain like as we went to the parents that like, oh, this is the artist of this card art, and like it's from this new card game if they hadn't heard about it. So it was really cool, and I think some of the parents really will like look into it and try to get their kids into Lorcana now from that.
That's so cool. And for those who don't know, Matthew Robert Davis, and I've been saying it wrong all this time. Matthew Robert Davis is actually from Wales, and so doesn't make the trip across the pond terribly often. So it's really cool that he spent time in the parks. It's probably probably not once in a lifetime, but few times in a lifetime thing.
And we had beautiful weather for it. He was so happy with how the weather was, especially compared to his home climate.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah, I just realized it now. We were in Miami we were in Florida for like 3-4 days, and it didn't rain once.
Okay. So it's funny you say that. Funny side note. All the artists came from around the world, and some of them were in the United States for the first time ever. And one of the artists, Christian Romero, who is up from Colombia, Bogota, I believe, wanted to explore the city. So he took an Uber downtown on Friday to explore. And it was beautiful sunny weather at the hotel. And he sent us a text and said, it is pouring downtown. And it poured the entire time he was downtown, I think. And then he came back to the hotel where it was nice and sunny. So in our pocket, it was beautiful. But poor Christian had his vacation rained on a little bit in downtown. That was pretty funny. Let's see. I want to move to Cameron. Actually, I know you were only on for a little bit because you're tired. And I understand you have to head out. So any final like observations from the convention before we say goodbye and move on to the next segment?
Again, I loved it. Just all of the super interesting booths. Like there was one where custom rugs, loved that whole idea. And then the string arts as well, where it was like they did a bunch of nails and then they did all the strings across to do the arts. I loved both of those. Like those were two of my favorite of the booths. Also the snack booth, obviously.
There was a cool snack booth. There was a cool snack booth with like snacks from around the world.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that? Yep. There was some really cool. I think the favorite flavor that I thought was Wagyu beef. Any other like? Did anybody see that booth and see some of that cool stuff?
I know Jay got like a snack drop box.
Yeah,
right?
It was a little like Chinese takeout box filled with different of like little candies from around the world. It was a lot of like hard candies from like Japan or Korea and stuff like that. That was super fun. It had a lot of really odd flavors, but they were quite delicious.
That's fascinating.
I was hanging out with Julie a little bit, and Juan offered me some of the Wagyu beef. Chips. They were chips, and it was weird because it tasted like meat.
I had those.
And I was a little alarmed.
Those were so strange.
It really messed with my head.
So weird.
Well, Cameron, thanks for the segue into the meat chips on the way out.
Always happy to help.
because now it's in my mouth again. Um,
Oh.
anyway,
All
thanks,
right.
Cameron. Take it easy.
Great to see you. Thanks.
We're going to
Yeah.
trade out Cameron for another friend of the channel who was also at the convention. Boom, Brandon B Squared.
What's up?
Hey,
What's
Zach.
up,
Round
guys?
out our Hollywood squares here and make us a nice
Yeah.
even six.
Have to shout out Cameron real quick. He hooked me up with the room there at the end, so I could even make it. So shout outs to Cam for that.
There you
Well,
go.
I'm sad that Cameron left before you got to say a proper thank you to him. I'm sure he heard you. Anyway, yeah, super awesome. So for this next segment, I kind of wanted to talk about the artists and what like an unprecedented thing this was. And I've got some pictures to move through to kind of guide us through. But I want to start with, I think, all of us who've been following this game for a while and who realized, where around the world most of these artists come from, realized how incredible it was that we had artists from, gosh, off the top of my head, Scotland, Wales, Germany, Italy, Colombia, Peru, Brazil, the United States. Am I missing any?
South Africa.
Mexico, South Africa. Yes, thank you.
Italy.
All in one spot. And for these artists were all for years working kind of in isolation in their own little silos. And now, like, for the first time when they came to the convention, got to like meet other artists and talk to them and everything, which was so cool. Eric, as I pull the pictures up, I know you're the big I think the big autograph hound and sketch hound here. What did you think about kind of the meeting the artists and the opportunity to connect with them?
When I first learned of everything that was going to be happening at the show, it quickly became apparent that I had to get there. It as you've said a few times, it was a once in a lifetime opportunity. And I had all kinds of things sort of planned ahead of time. And things were sort of moving and shaking as the dates got closer and closer. And I know I spoke with you about a week out, and you basically said, Eric, I don't think what you want to happen is going to happen. You can try, but you might not be successful.
I did say that.
And it did put a little bit of a rain cloud over my head.
Sorry.
But then, no, that's okay, right? You didn't want to set the bar too high. But once I finally got down there and we started hanging out with everybody, you've got a picture up on screen right now of us playing with Cam on Friday night, I believe that was, teaching him how to play. And Andrew was there as well. And they never played with the cards before. So yeah, once we had everybody in the room on Saturday and Sunday, I did chase them down, and I got some pretty awesome sketches from most of the artists on some comic book blank covers that I brought prepared for them to sketch on. And a lot of them said, I'd never even thought of this or had even considered doing this. And once they started doing it, they quickly almost loved quick sketching all of their characters and some fun scenes and stuff like that. And it quickly spiraled out of control to where playmats started coming into the room that were blank and getting sketched on playmats and stuff like that. And so it was an awesome opportunity to not only get sketches from these guys and girls, but also to hang out with them face to face in a setting like this at the hotel and play some games, talk to them, and just sort of hang out with them and learn about their lives and what they're into, and how they've been doing all of this for the last few years.
Yeah, that's so cool. One thing I have to say, I just want to offer for everyone like watching. I know a lot of us love the artists and we love collecting autographs and stuff. And I have to say, Eric, like your approach when you approach these artists is so nice and respectful, and really is a model for how to approach people for autographs and signatures. You're very respectful. You say, hey, I it'd be great. I'd like you to do this, but if you're not comfortable, I completely understand. How much would you ask? You set the price, and there was no haggling, but it was so respectful of their time, their boundaries, and everything else. And I really appreciate that.
I appreciate that as well, that you just brought that up. And again, I didn't want to put anybody in an uncomfortable situation. And I think it's been discussed before that a lot of this is a first time for all of them. And they are sort of learning the ropes and what to expect. And it sort of took some of the more experienced artists the ability to say, yeah, this was cool. And I'm on board for some of the, I'll call it the rookie guys that have never done a show like this to be, oh, well, he's okay with it. Then yeah, sure. I'm okay with it. And what was he charging? Then, okay, then I'll stick with the same rate. And it was awesome. Again, just having that chance to chat with each individual. And I don't want to take up too much time telling stories, but Louise was working on a Scar comic book of mine. And he actually asked if I had extra copies because he's a huge Lion King fan. And unfortunately, I didn't have a spare copy. He was the last blank of the Scar one. So I told him I will find you a copy, and I'm now going to have to get him a copy mailed out to him at his home so that he can read some of the villainous comic books, specifically the Scar Lion King stuff.
That's so awesome. That's awesome.
Can I adding on to that story? I mean, as you mentioned, Eric, Luis is a massive, massive Lion King fan, and he, and I'm sure Liam will get a little bit more into the story of the artists opening Lorcana cards for the very first time, which was an amazing thing to watch. But after that, he had a personal goal of collecting every single Lion King card in the set throughout the weekend. And I think it ended up resulting in him doing maybe a trade with Brandon at one point to get his last Lion King card, which was also a Scar, I think. Anyway, but it's, it was amazing to see. First of all, I love Luis's passion for Lion King. It's just so lovely. But how much the artists actually got into collecting this weekend was so fun. I kept telling Matthew, I was like, now you know what every Lorcana fan feels like, with how much he got into collecting and just like jonesing for his next card and trying to collect, specific cards. I'm like, now you know how we feel. And it was just really, really cool to see. So
one of my favorite things that happened during the weekend was I gave Louise a Sapphire Scar card that he needed to finish his collection. And then as I was having Ari Welly sign a couple cards, he was telling me how he had collected like 4 out of the 5 cards that he had done. And I was having him sign a foil lanterns. And he was like, I haven't been able to find the lanterns. And I just so happened to have an extra foil lanterns. And so I was like, well, here you go. You can just have it. And he was like, are you sure? I was like, yeah. And so he just gave me one of his play mats because I just like gave him the card to collect and he could finish his collection of Lorcana cards. It was so fun to see the artists like get in and like hearing them talk about how they had opened some cards the night before and like a big party. Like Aaron said, you could see that like twinkle in their eye of, they're getting the bug of collecting the cards.
Yeah, it's true. I think everybody who's into collecting remembers like that moment when they there was adrenaline rush when they got a thing and they're like, oh my goodness, this is going to cost me so much money.
I pulled a foil bell out of a starter deck challenge. I was like, well, I'm getting one of it.
Yep. Yeah, you're like that.
I'm getting every single foil. And I thought I was coming back home to the final mail to complete my one of playset. My one of foil of everything in the first chapter. And I went to put everything in the binder. And I realized I missed one. I'm missing a foil Pascal. I have everything else. Everything else is there's just one single open spot, and I'm so upset about it. So I immediately went on to TCG Player and
rectify that issue.
Are you saying the small chameleon is the one card you could not find?
I swore I had it. I tore apart this entire room like 10 minutes before I got on here, and I was like, it
turned the color of your wall. It's sitting in the corner. You can't even see it.
100%. So that'll be here in like a week, and I'll probably post a small like mini video on my Twitter of celebrating the fact that I have my foil play set.
I do want to. There's some more pictures I want to go through. And I think Cabled, shout out to you in the chat. I know Eric mentioned this, but the picture we're showing is that's Cam Kendall playing his very first Lorcana games, being coached by Cabled from the Discord server, and learning how to play. And it was a really fun experience. I wish Cabled was here.
And I think Adara, are you sitting? Are those your hands?
Yep.
It's, I'm the shoulder on the very edge of the picture,
Okay.
next to my husband.
Got
Yeah.
it.
Cabled, hey, Warlock, that is you. Off on the left, Warlock Leverman in the chat. Cabled, if you drop a little description of and Warlock of what that experience was like, we'll pop it up on the screen. So that was really early on. I got some other fun pictures of the weekend. On that vein, just to highlight the fact that all of these artists are so new to Lorcana. This is Aaron here over on the left, teaching Kenneth Anderson from Scotland how to play his first game of Lorcana. Aaron, did you won the first game? How did the second game go?
I also won that one.
Okay.
He had me on the ropes.
How dare you bully the artists?
I tried. Well, so like he told me no clues and no help. He was like, you only can tell me if I break a rule. And I was like, are you sure? And so at one point he inked a Pongo and he really, really should not have inked the Pongo. And I was just like, afterwards, I was like, you, that was not a good move.
Oh, you're playing the Amber Amethyst starter deck against him too? This is
I
evil.
know. Well,
No kid gloves.
Wanted to learn. So he actually, the day before, had bought a Ruby Emerald starter deck to bring home. And so he was really, like, he wanted to play Ruby Emerald to learn that deck specifically.
Like all his characters are Ruby.
Yeah.
Huh?
Like all his characters are Ruby.
That is true. Yes,
Yeah.
that is true. He did end up after this buying a Sapphire Amber for his girlfriend. But and I was like, you should, you guys need to trade and play and that sort of thing. But he did really well. Like he took to it really, really well. And it was just such a joy. It was my first time teaching someone how to play as well. And then Brandon was watching me while I was doing it. So that was like super intimidating to me to have like somebody I consider a Lorcana master like watching over my shoulder as I'm trying to explain the game to someone.
Were you commentating in your head, Brandon?
No, I was more or less hoping that I wasn't going to miss my flight. Because I was like racing around the convention floor at that time, trying to find all the foils and get them signed. Aaron did a great job, though. It was obvious that Kenneth was having fun.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it was a lot of fun. He's such a sweet guy.
Yeah. Moving on.
Speaking of,
man, so this picture requires some explanation.
Yeah. So
what a fantastic.
This hasn't been released to the world yet, but
sorry.
No, but that's okay.
It has
but,
now.
Yeah, this is Andrew Trebold, who is the artist for Magic Mirror, and I told myself there were only a couple of cards that I was going to get signed when I was there because I just couldn't afford to get all of the ones that I wanted to. And as the convention went on and I talked to more of the artists, I was like, these guys are too cool. Like I have to get some more cards signed, at least one by all of them. So I start going through all the artists and figuring out which cards were available that I could get signed and which ones I wanted to out of the ones that were there. And when I saw Andrew's lineup and Magic Mirror was in there, it's just the one that stood out to me. And I'm like, I have to do this one. Like I just have to for the rest of the community. So went over to Andrew, got the Magic Mirror signed. We explained to him the Magic Mirror meme and, the origins of it. And he thought it was pretty comical. So had to grab a picture, and you can see by his face, he was a little upset that I was dogging on the card so hard.
Yeah, we told him the story beforehand, and so it was funny when you came over. But this is what you have to look forward to if you ever dog on a card too hard. One day you may meet the artist.
Yeah,
public shame.
I was about to say, teaching the artists about the significance of flounder was also like they just didn't get it, and I think we had to explain it to them like 4 or 5 times just how big of a deal flounder is in the Lorcana community. And anyway, I love finally getting to bring them into these inside jokes that we've all had for a year.
It's true. The Lorcana artists were not only awesome with Brandon. God, look at my segues; they're so good. We're not only awesome with Brandon, but
with other children,
and their toys. No, it's so fun. I just love this picture. Marcel has a niece who is either 3 or 4 years old at this point, and you could definitely see his uncle's skills coming out as he interacted with this fan. It was really delightful to see, and this was one of just many moments, of the Lorcana artists interacting with the community and their fans, and it was so great. It was just delightful.
Pretty awesome game of peekaboo happened right after this picture was taken. It was adorable.
Is that the Maui
Yes.
cosplayer
Yes.
in the corner?
Yeah.
Oh, that was so
That was pretty
cool.
awesome.
And I have
And
to
his daughter
apologize.
was
It was a whole
Moana.
family.
I have to apologize to whoever on Twitter responded to this
Amazing.
question saying, "Hey, yeah, this picture is great, but please get us the full Maui." And I didn't. So if anybody has that picture, let me know.
Didn't Julia have a picture of it?
Yeah,
Julie either had a picture or a
send
video.
send me the Maui
Okay.
picture or video because we need to share it.
Okay, it might have been a story.
yeah.
I'll look.
Take a
Yeah,
quick look.
so cool. I may not be able to get it up
remember.
tonight, but awesome. Yeah, that was Maui's daughter. Yeah, so cool. Gosh, what else do I have loaded up here? Oh, this is great. We talked about this. Adara, this is you? I can't see
I take
the
a little bit
face.
longer to load the picture, so give
Sorry.
it a minute.
Yeah. So my thumbnail advance button
Yes.
here in Restream is right over your face. So I
It
Yeah.
definitely looks like Adara.
yeah.
This is definitely me. Those are my that's my flamingo shirt that I wore on Saturday for the tournament.
It's so Miami. Yeah, so this is you interacting with Matthew and his partner Aaron. What was that like?
Oh man, I think the artist that I ended up interacting with the most, and he was the first one I interacted with at the convention when I had snuck down after my round 4 win. And it was just so cool getting a chance to talk to him and like talk about the cards and just his excitement for that. But also had a really cool chance to hear about the game that he's developing. I don't remember the name of it, but he was just so passionate about like doing these other things. And I forget that these artists, they're not just Lorcana artists. Like they do other things besides just commissions. And so it was so amazing to have a chance to chat with him. And plus he has a pretty amazing accent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's the Welsh. It's all Welsh, I think. And
Yes.
yeah, so talking about the passion of the game they're developing, they're huge board game fans, Aaron and Matthew. I asked their favorites, and the two that came out right away were Everdell and Wingspan. So those two games have the Matthew Robert Davis stamp of approval. So if you haven't played them yet, go out and try them. Awesome. Eliza, I see you sent the Maui to my Discord text. I'll see if I can pull it up and get it on my other monitor here. But speaking of people meeting artists, Emma, you talked about this earlier because you're an artist yourself, and I know you talked like at length with Julia about her art and what it's being an artist. And what was this like?
It was amazing. I don't know. I think I'm like gonna have to take this out when I talk. I think our personalities just meshed really well. And she is the sweetest person. Juan was as well because they were at the same table, and so I had talked to both of them a lot. But Julia and we talked a lot about art stuff and like our backgrounds and just our hobbies because we have too many hobbies. But after we connected and talked for a while, the two of us were on a budget, and so I didn't see her mat out when we first came by. Her mat, I think she brought out a little bit later, and it has like a mermaid on it and all these fish, and it's red and beautiful.
Some really cool negative space too on the right hand side.
Yeah, it's very me. So I was like, oh my gosh, how do I not have the money for this? I was so upset. And she was like, you should just take it, because we had already connected so much. And I was not going to do that. So I had already shown her my art and she was really, really sweet about it. So I told her that I was going to send her some prints because I do printmaking. So I'm going to be sending off some prints. Yeah, they're not hanging right now. And so it's an art trade. So it's really cool that it kind of turned into the two of us having an art trade. And I'm just really excited to, stay friends and connect over the years. But I'm so grateful I could hang out with them because he was playing and it was kind of hot upstairs. So
Oh my god, it was so
was
hot
warm.
upstairs.
So I didn't really want to hang out and watch. And I had a great time with the artists.
I will say, one of the things that was fascinating throughout the weekend, we talked about them playing Lorcana for the first time and seeing their cards for the first time. But for a lot of them, this was the first time that they realized what the art that they created meant to so many people out there. This was their first time being
Mhm.
like minor celebrities and interacting with fans in that way. And I know, after this, Emma, Julia was super excited, to have that conversation, because for a lot of them, they some of these artists are animators by trade, or in other parts of the industry where they're behind the scenes. Their name may appear in the
Yeah.
credits of Klaus or any other animated feature, but they're not used to this kind of celebrity status. So
Being in the spotlight.
so it was great seeing things like this. Yeah. Anyway, this is, I don't know if the picture is the best way. This is a fun shot of Christian Romero signing some slabs, for those who aren't interested in getting their Enchanted signed.
And Eric's comic is off to the right too.
No, go back. It
Or
was
I guess
there.
the left of the
This is Panda, with an actual panda. Smangalisa Sabaya from South Africa. For those who have a problem with his name, or just want to say it a lot shorter, Panda is his moniker, and he found a panda to guard his merch when he was away, which was fantastic.
I will say, Sabaya was the mat that I chose to get, and he was so sweet because we got the first one that he sold, and he did a little first on it.
Oh.
Eat your heart out, resellers. I have the first edition.
Love it. But yeah, it was just cool seeing all these artists connect with their fans.
That was another thing that was great fun that they learned this weekend. They learned very much how important it is to collectors to like have the first of something. And so they all got really into being like, oh, this is the first time I'm doing this, and like writing a number 1 on it. And they were doing that just kind of like all over the place this weekend. They're like, this is the first card. This is the first this is the first that. So it was really sweet. I'm glad they did that for you.
Yeah,
that's fun. And then this is just one of the few last pictures I wanted to highlight. Peter Raimondo was there, who was a Disney animator back in the studios before it was shut down. And all the animators in, working for the studio, the 2D era ended. And he worked on a number of films, but he was instrumental to creating Lilo and Stitch as one of his films. And so he got to meet both Smangalisa Sabaya, Panda, and Marcel Berg, who animated Rockstar Stitch and Surfer Stitch respectively. And so there was just a really cool moment where they where you saw Peter connecting with like the artists of the next like generation of this character. It was just kind of neat. I don't know. I'll move on. And they got some signed merch from Peter. Shout out to Forbidden Mountain. We just had to include this. He's not on the stream tonight.
Man, he had a weekend.
He commentated every game, was it? All of them?
I believe it was every game, or they swapped off with someone, and he took like maybe 1 or 2 rounds of a break. But he was,
and even when
hard.
He wasn't casting, I walked over and talked to him for a minute. He was on his laptop working on Forbidden Mountain videos. So like even when he wasn't working, he was working.
Shout out to these guys. They went incredibly hard. Scott actually performed very well as well. I think him and I were both in the bubble at the end. I think we both lost. So we feel your pain. Cable and I both feel your pain. But very, very well done. And these guys just did so well all weekend, and I'm so proud of them.
No, it's super awesome. And we said earlier, go to check out Traverse Tavern, which you absolutely should for a roll up of the tournament, but also check out Forbidden Mountain because they always have awesome tournament coverage as well. One more note in this photo, I've heard some people say that you shouldn't wear your own merch, but sometimes
shameless.
Wear your own merch.
Shameless plug.
We don't have any for sale. We just have 3 because they're super expensive, but they're comfy. So yeah, That's who we are. For last couple photos, I had to capture this one on the way out the door on day one, and because this is how I felt after standing all day, and I'm sure all of you felt after the tournament all day, exhausted but happy. And this prompted a rapid meme from Kenneth Anderson, the artist king of memes, as we were getting back to the hotel, and really appreciated it. Is totally accurate. Eliza, Pikachu looks like
this strictly was me getting into bed after Saturday.
Absolutely. Yes, Gen Con experience. So we're gonna wrap up here in about 8 minutes left. So I think the best way to close is to just kind of go around, kind of shared some of our experiences and what this meant to the artists. And we'll just hear from everyone, like any big takeaways or any big memory that you want to share or impressions of the tournament. And I guess as I'm looking at you all, I'll just start with Adara, and then everybody can jump in from there.
I think the one other memory I want to point out is on Sunday, we managed to get together 8 people from the Discord group to go upstairs and play an 8-person single elimination best of 3 for a gift set. And so that was just a super fun, chill, casual, like we were just able to go up and just tell the PPG folks like, hey, like we got your 8. If you just set us up with a gift box, we can pretty much run it ourselves.
We banned Ruby Amethyst and Amber.
We did. But the funny story there is I made it all the way. I passed the first elimination and I played Franz and he knocked me out. But I realized after I played Franz that I was accidentally playing with a 52 card deck because I had given Brandon back the Maleficents and the Be Prepared.
Oh no.
And I did not notice until the sixth
This
at
end
the
game
end
is
of the
horrible.
game.
I was great until turn 7,
I
and
couldn't
then
find any of my Be Prepared. I couldn't find my Maleficents. I was so confused until the very
The
end.
entire time, like after she was at 7 ink on that last game, I was like, man, there are draws that ruin my entire life, and Be Prepared is absolutely one of them. So I can't push hard. I can't overcommit. And I just I got to slow roll this a little bit. Another funny story is in that game specifically, she went to 6 ink with lanterns, played an Abomination Stitch. I sung Mother Knows Best to bounce it back. She played it. I sung another Mother Knows Best to bounce it back. She played it. I played a Genie. I bounced it back.
You just wouldn't let me keep it out.
Yeah.
And you kept saying that Be Prepared didn't exist. And so I blame you.
It doesn't
Franz.
exist. It doesn't exist. It
yeah,
can't
so
hurt.
you hate Be Prepared, so you had Brandon steal him. I see how it is. Brandon,
Exactly.
any big takeaways?
Honestly, like with any of these conventions, my absolute favorite part was like seeing everybody. Like I always walk away just super excited to have like spent more physical time with everyone. It's just, we spend so much time online interacting with each other, but it's just different when you're there in person, and it's so fun. And I like really, really don't take for granted the time that I get with all of you here. So there is that. And then kind of in the same vein with the artist, I dropped from the tournament a little bit earlier than I probably should have, but I got some extra time to talk to the artists and like really getting to listen to them. I talked to Louise for a while and he told me some like really awesome stuff, and like kind of personal stuff about his dad and like one of the playmats that he was doing. And Kendall shared a really cool print that he did that I thought was really neat. And like just getting to talk to all of them and know them and introduce myself and really express how much I appreciated them doing this work. I know they're getting paid for it, but like just how they bring this game to life for us. And like without them, it would just be a bunch of numbers on a card and a bunch of mechanics, and like how great of a job they did, and just like building those connections and talking to them. Like that was definitely the highlight of the convention for me.
Next year, skip the tournament or play again?
I would play. Absolutely.
I'm playing. Yeah. I'm playing every time.
On the Eric note, or the artist note, Eric, any closing thoughts?
I'm still in shock, honestly. It was so much fun. You asked when I first jumped in if I was tired, and I'm exhausted, but yet the adrenaline is still going from the whole experience. I can't highlight one thing with any specific artist because each one of them was a little bit different to chat with, had stories. Um, it was either something funny, something cool, them reminiscing about something, or again just interacting. A lot of them were so appreciative of being celebrities for the weekend. And you sort of said that this is new to them, and I've been doing the con scene for about a decade now, and again, you just don't get these sorts of opportunities ever, to interact with as many people that have done such a phenomenal job. um, I do want to highlight one thing that I just thought of is I may have lightly poked for some information on chapter 2 from a few of the artists and
I did too, to
suggested,
be fair.
hey, maybe we can talk about some characters. And unfortunately, I got shot down real hard. Sorry?
The mouse is always watching. NDAs
I know,
are real.
and I think they all knew that, and it was a lot of fun to just try and say, hey, maybe we can talk about some characters, and they're like, yeah, I can't even admit if I'm doing any work on chapter 2, let alone any characters that we might be seeing.
Which chapter 2? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly right. So yeah, the adrenaline's keeping me going, and again, I sort of to hit back on Brandon's point about just hanging out with everybody, just having a pizza party in the lobby of the hotel, and then cracking open booster boxes and that sort of stuff. You just don't get to do that very often with people, especially from around the world that you've been chatting with for the last year online and stuff like that.
Hashtag convention life.
True.
Emma.
Yeah. So it's along similar lines. But I work from home now, and I do a graphic design job during the day and just like printmaking and other personal stuff in my own time. But I don't really get to connect with a whole lot of people who are both creative and also in Franz's realm of the TCG community, except for a few of his friends like locally. I used to work at a local game store, but since leaving there, I haven't really been communicating much with gamers or with artists outside of like online. So it's really been great to have a weekend where it's just like a compressed time of constantly spending time with people, which is a lot for an introvert, but it's been really healing. I think, I got kind of weird in the last few weeks because I hadn't really interacted with a lot of people. So it's been a good experience, and I really hope that we can do it again next year. I don't know how that works, but it would be great to have everyone again in the same spot.
Totally agree.
I think we have to strong arm Liam to make it happen again for next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Liam, you handle it. You handle everything.
Part of it is all credit goes to Eric and the convention staff.
Yeah, Eric was so cool.
Franz, like, what are your final thoughts for us?
It's hard to come up with anything else besides this. Like Brandon, I think my thoughts really mirror Brandon's a lot, which is just getting together and seeing everyone outside of the tournament. Because my thoughts on competing in tournaments is definitely a bit more personal than hanging out with everyone. But being able to like combine my birthday weekend with a tournament, with seeing everyone that I've made content with, and I've been talking about this game for over a year at this point now with, and it's just been so fun, so cool. And every single time I do it, it puts a smile on my face, and it's the reason why events like this are fun. Like regardless of what happens in the tournament, whether you win, whether you drop after round 2, whether you bubble out of top 32. Sorry, cabled. It's fun. It's fun enough because right after the tournament, you can go back to your hotel, hang out in the hot tub, talk with everyone, meet some new people, and it's just a great time. Everything about this weekend was fantastic. and I wouldn't change any bit of it besides winning last round. And I can't wait for more of these, and specifically official events, hopefully coming in the next yearish or so. I think those will be even more special.
I agree. If I if I knew it was your birthday, I would have had my birthday hat on the whole time. I'll throw this out here right now. If it's your birthday ever on our streams or your birthday weekend, you let us know in advance, and if you come on the show, birthday hats for the show.
If I got a free tiramisu at Zuka, so
Very
that was
worth
that
it.
was a
That's
good
my
enough
offer.
person.
I love that you had
Is
that ready.
birthday hats always. Aaron, close us out here before we do our very special closing this week.
Yeah. Well, first of all, for all of you who are on the stream and for many of you who are watching, I just wanted to say, like, thank you all for being there for our family in our first trip with the little one. It was overwhelming and exhausting, and I really appreciate all of you guys who are in Miami, your patience and your kindness, and so I'm really grateful to all of you on behalf of our family, and you guys embracing this gremlin at bars and you know, everywhere I dragged her all over the city of Miami. So I wanted to start by saying that, and then, you know, my takeaway from the weekend, there are just so many to choose from. Finally getting to meet all of you was incredible. I was so sad I missed Gen Con, and so getting to have that experience finally was, Liam talked about how incredible it was, and I believed him, but I don't think I like fully recognized it until I was in Miami. And then also, I mean, for Liam and I, getting to meet the artists in person was a dream come true and a year in the making. We have been, you know, getting to know these people and falling in love with them and their work and their portfolios for a year, and they're just, the Lorcana family is just the kindest people, you know, everybody, the fans, the Franz, you talked about the competitive atmosphere being so like open, and the fans, even the competitive players, the artists, it's just such a beautiful space. And I'm just looking forward to the future of it and it growing and becoming this amazing thing. So
yeah, it's only going to get better, I think. And speaking of things getting better, we're gonna close our show. Really special, quick segment here. Apologize, running a little bit long, but friend of the show, we're gonna welcome on. Wasn't at Miami, but he was there in all of our hearts. It's probably one of my all-time favorite content creators, and one that I look up to.
I thought
It's Jonty.
I totally forgot that. Like, I genuinely forgot and I just thought I was watching you. Seriously.
Jump scared yourself.
I genuinely totally forgot that I was here to say hi, and I just got into the vibe of just listening. Oh, hello.
That was the best introduction ever.
Oh, God. That's actually embarrassed me a little. I don't get embarrassed.
Clip it. Someone clip it.
I was like that. Hey, folks.
A good lead in.
Yes, I'm incredibly jealous of you all being in Miami. I hope you all had an amazing time and also a terrible time because I wasn't there.
Next year, you'll have to join.
Too bad. I did not have a terrible time.
You'll have to join the Canadian club coming down next time, Jonty.
Yes, that sounds. That definitely sounds like a trip. I'm not currently allowed to leave Canada.
I was going to say, spend more time in Canada this year so you could come to Miami.
Yeah.
This is it. Yeah.
Stay there for a while.
The only thing I want to mention is you mentioned Peter Raimondo before. Awesome Disney animator, now has an incredible series of children's books called Third Grade Mermaid, and well looking up. I have them and I read them to Xander, and they're great.
Oh, that's awesome. I knew he did books, but I didn't know which one, so I'm glad you mentioned them.
Yeah, Third Grade Mermaid. They're really good, and they're full of like fish puns and all that sort of stuff. They're great.
Puns are the highest form of humor. I maintain. Thanks. Thanks for joining us here. I know it's been, we have a lot of people here who are exhausted from Miami, but we had to close out because I know what I'm doing the rest of my night after this. Brandon, Jonty, I know you have a very special project that we all.
I hope Brandon knows what he's doing the rest of this evening as well.
Yeah. Please enlighten me, Jonty.
You might be tired. But I'm going to turn it over to the two of you just from this point forward. Tell us what you're up to.
We're gonna carry on Lorcana night. We're gonna coin this as Lorcana night. So for all of you who enjoy live streams about Lorcana on a Monday evening, which obviously is a huge demographic, we're gonna carry on. So in about 25 minutes, over on the Inkwell, myself and Brandon are going to be starting our first show.
It's so exciting.
Yeah, we're all bringing down Monday Night Football slowly but surely.
It's true. It's only a matter of time.
Joke's on you. I'm watching and I'm like,
it's only a matter of time.
It's not football anyway.
Super excited. You and Brandon always have the best takes on the latest news. What's your show going to be? What are you going to be looking at?
Go ahead, Brandon. Tell us all about it.
We're going to be doing, like you said, we're going to be talking a little bit about news. The show is called This Week in Ink. So, all the stuff that's happened recently in Lorcana and things that affect Lorcana, we'll be going over that. We've got a little bit of a market watch segment to look at all the prices and trends and that kind of thing going on as well. We've got a couple fun little I don't want to call them games because it's not really a game, but just like some card reviews and fun little stories to tell and things like that. Jonty and I wanted to create maybe a little bit of a late night show sort of Lorcana thing, it being a little bit later in the evening. So anybody that wants to join, I suggest you guys grab a snack and your favorite beverage and sit back, and hopefully we can entertain you and maybe give us a little bit of grace on this first run through, but hopefully it won't take us long.
Yeah, I will tell you this much now. Liam and Erin make this look seamless. It's the adage of the swan, above the water, it's super graceful, and underneath the legs are just doing this. It's insane. The amount of different balls that are in the air to get a live stream running, and this has only been a quick run through with Brandon off camera. So it might go terribly, it might go well. Either way, it's probably going to be funny, whether it works or not. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Funny, charming, and entertaining, I'm sure. We're super excited. For those who remember TGIF and that lineup of shows, we're going to do that on Monday nights for Lorcana.
TGIL.
Thank goodness it's Lorcana.
Sure.
Well, thanks everybody for hanging out. I know either on this stream you're all we're exhausted from Miami and I need to go get some sleep. And while we're doing that, watch Jonty and Brandon's show.
It's okay. We'll lull you.
If you fall asleep, just make sure the sleep timer's not on. Help us with that watch time.
I'll take it.
Get those numbers. Yeah. So thanks so much for joining us. You two, I know, go prep for your show. We'll see you on in just a little bit, hanging out in the chat. But hey, everybody, thanks so much. And you know how we end these things. It's sign off.
Sign off, catchphrase.